In this nugget, we get to lab up and verify network time protocol. Let's begin. Hey, what time is it? Having the accurate time on a device like a network device is important for a lot of reasons, including having accurate date and timestamps on log events, as well as for verification of digital certificates. And using network time protocol is a fantastic way that you and I can synchronize the time to a reliable source. In this nugget, we're going to build this topology with these two routers, R1 and R2. We'll make R1 an NTP master, regarding him as a trusted authority for having the correct time, and then we'll train R2 to be a client. To make R2 an NTP client, we have some options. We could simply tell R2 that, hey, R1 is your server, and use that option. We could also tell R2 to be an NTP broadcast client, which would simply say, hey, listen for NTP servers. Go ahead and then use that server to sync your time with. Using the specific server option by telling R2 to use R1 is more accurate and more controlled than using the broadcast option, but they are both options. So let's build our topology here in GNS3, and I'm chuckling a little bit because with just two routers, it's only going to take a few moments to build this. So there's R1 and R2 that we've brought out. Let's connect them together on their gig 1/0 interfaces. We'll turn on the label tool so we can go ahead and see those labels. Then we'll start those routers with the start icon, and then we'll open up consoles to each one of them using the console icon. So let's begin our configuration on the left-hand side of our topology on router R1. So we'll go into configuration mode, and let's make this device an NTP master. Make it a trusted resource for getting the time. Next, we'll go into interface gig 1/0 and give it the IP address of 10.12.0.1 with a 24-bit mask. Now, one of our options on this router R1 is that we could tell gig 1/0 that we want it to periodically broadcast NTP messages on that interface. And if we use the broadcast option, we could then train R2 to listen to those broadcasts to discover an NTP server, and then R2 could go ahead and synchronize the time with that NTP server. So because we're right here in interface configuration mode, let's use that option right here on router R1's gig 1/0. And the syntax is NTP space broadcast. And on that interface, it will broadcast NTP server messages periodically. And of course, we'd want to bring that interface up, so you and I will do that by using the no shutdown command to bring up interface gig 1/0. And that's it for R1. Let's go over to R2. Here on router R2, let's go into configuration mode and go into interface gig 1/0 and give it the IP address of 10.12.0.2 with a 24-bit mask. Now, because we're following the idea of using broadcast to discover an NTP server, let's go ahead and use the client broadcast option right here on R2's gig 1/0 interface. And the syntax to make this an NTP client and be able to discover NTP servers via listening to broadcast messages is to use the command NTP broadcast client. And of course, if we want this client to be able to listen to any NTP broadcasts, we need to bring the interface up as well. So we'll use the no shutdown to bring the interface up. Now, alternatively, we don't need to do both of these, but alternatively, if we didn't want to be an NTP broadcast client, we could have told R2 to go ahead and use R1 as its NTP server. And if we use that option, the syntax in global config would be NTP server and then the IP address of our NTP server. So these asterisks right here I put so that the router wouldn't process those lines. But I did want to share with you what the syntax would be on R2 in global config if we wanted to point to R1 as a specific NTP server. And then, of course, we're going to exit out of configuration mode. Now, just for fun, let's bring up GNS3 for a moment and let's capture traffic on that link between R1 and R2. So that capture is currently running. I'll go ahead and minimize that for a moment. Let's go back to our command line. And let's use a few NTP show commands. For example, we could use show NTP associations, and that'll show us if we currently have an association with an NTP server. And right here, it's indicating that it has learned about 10.12.0.1. R2 learned about that NTP server by listening to broadcasts on the gig 1/0 interface. We can also add on the keyword detail. Show NTP associations with the keyword detail at the end, and that'll give us more details on the NTP association. And look at that. Okay, so I'm shocked a little bit. It dropped out. So a few moments ago, we had an NTP association. It's right here with 10.12.0.1, and then it has dropped. So what's happening is this client is very likely going to wait for 1 or 2 broadcasts from R1 before it says, okay, good NTP server, I'm going to go ahead and then start synchronizing with you. Now the great news is this, because as we speak, the packet capture is running in the background and we can see all of that play-by-play activity. So my hands are not leaving my arms. I'm going to go ahead and hit the up arrow key a couple times. We'll do a show NTP associations. And then I'm going to hit the up arrow key a couple times again and add that detail keyword on. And here it's showing us that we know about the NTP server of 10.12.0.1. We've learned it dynamically via the broadcast from R1. And if we do the command show NTP status, that can help us see whether or not we are currently synchronized with that NTP server. And it indicates that indeed we are synchronized with that NTP server. So just for fun, let's go back to GNS3. Let's stop our packet capture that's currently running by right-clicking on the link between R1 and R2, clicking on Stop Capture. So now if we look at the Wireshark packet capture, we have in packet number 8 this NTP broadcast that was sent from R1. And as a result of that broadcast, we have some unicast traffic in packets 9, 10, 11, and 12 that are going back and forth between R1 and R2. And that's where R2 is synchronizing its clock to the NTP server's time. And then if we continue to scroll down, we have periodic broadcasts in packet number 28 from our NTP server, and also in packet number 47. And I've included this packet capture as part of the Nugget Lab files as well, if you'd like to take a closer look at it. In this nugget, you and I have labbed up an NTP topology and verified that it's working. For more training on the details and theory of NTP, I would strongly encourage you to check out the CCNP route course, as well as the CCNA hands-on labs, all right here at CBT Nuggets. I have had fun in this very short nugget. I'm glad that you joined me for it. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.